What was the weirdest black market in your school? Mountain Dew and Pepsi had a contest where college names were printed on the inside of the bottle caps. If that school won the NCAA March Madness tournament, you could send it in for the jersey of your choice from any school. Suddenly, a black market for caps with blue-chip schools was born. I remember selling a Duke cap for $10, then turning around and buying 10 drinks from the vending machine. This one girl forged apology letters if you brought her something one of your parents wrote. I never used her services myself, but we were, and still are, good friends, and I gotta say, she's talented as hell. I literally can't tell which one is mine after she copied something I wrote, including signature. It's baffling. This happened in Los Angeles in the mid-80s. Student bus passes had to be purchased by the 5th day of the month or you were stuck having to pay daily. The date had passed, so I found a guy in my high school willing to trade another student's pass which he had stolen. I traded a tangerine and half a pack of cigarettes for a copy of Penthouse. Then I traded the issue with a pizza from the cafeteria for the bus pass. In early elementary school we had a market for mud. Different groups of kids would claim areas around the school as their mud pit and put their brand of mud in Ziploc bags to be traded with other groups for different bags of mud. We were the clay mud group and I had about 3 kids in the muck scooping it into bags or running to the water fountain to get fresh water to make more mud on dry days. I would be the one to go make the deals with the other groups. We traded a lot with the gravel mud group because clay mud and cement mud are both good for building or some shit. Who knows? It made so much sense at the time. The principal and staff eventually stepped in to end it because all the kids came back to class filthy every day and giant holes littered every field and playground. Salt. My school canteen doesn't have any salt with chips, or fries to Americans, and people used to sell salt packets. The most expensive offer I could find was 50 pence for a packet or £1 for 3. This wasn't a weird one but a genius one for a tween. A girl set up a little business out of a box of stationery, writing forged letters from parents. She had all different paper, pens and pencils of every kind, and could write in convincingly accurate tone for the content of the notes depending on which kid they were for. She used different styles of handwriting and different styles of punctuation and language too. She'd even fudge the spelling if she thought the kid's parents weren't great at it. She grew up to be incredibly educated. I look back and see that as her first moment of evil genius. It definitely suggested she would go on to brilliance one day and she did. Our middle school tried to start a reward program. It turned out to be a fail of epic proportion. Wolf Bucks, names after our mascot. They were mini-sized dollars color-coded by value. Green was $1, red was $5, blue was $10, and a gold wolf buck, only accessible to the principal and assistant principal $50. Now the school bought erasers, pencil, notebooks. You could only buy with wolf bucks 1 pencil, 1 wolf buck. First failure. It was easy to copy, so kids started mass copying them. OK, school got smart and said only accepting wolf bucks with your name and have your teacher's signature. Second failure, kept the same color, so kids would earn one legitimately, then the forgery started. Third failure, hyperinflation. During pep rallies, the principal started throwing golden wolf bucks. Eventually the school stopped resupplying the store. Everyone had hundreds/thousands of worthless wolf bucks. Not really a black market, but there was a porn tape, VHS days, that used to do the rounds. There was a booking system and everything. You couldn't have it for more than 2 days. I had a friend that used to bring a bunch of Coke cans from home and then sell them for $1 at lunch. Cheaper than the vending machine prices, and so it became like a little business. He eventually saved up enough for a longboard. One of my friends sold Starburst from his locker. 10 cents for 2. If he liked you, you got 2 from the normal bag. If he didn't like you, you got 2 from the bag that only had yellows. A teacher at my high school that I refused to rat on would take money from students and buy them lottery tickets/scratch-offs in exchange for a cut of any prize $50 and up. I think the dude legit made a few $1,000s off of this just during my senior year, and it made the students love him. Our elementary school utilized ice cream tickets. You got one if it was your birthday or if you did something that a teacher decided was exemplary. People would pass them around asking for favors down the line. Some kid found the paper used to make the tickets and Xeroxed multiple pages of the tickets. He became our kingpin and ruled for a couple years. Diddle paper. It's colored paper with a mouse drawn on it, but everyone collected them, no matter how old. And there were hundreds of different artworks. People had folders with protective covers, and depending on the motive and rarity you wanted to trade, you could get 3 to 4 other motives in exchange. It was wild. I just googled it and there are still collectors buying and selling them on the internet. Bottle caps. I still don't get it, but back in primary school, they were collecting bottle caps for some kind of charity. Google it, it's still ongoing around the world. So what happened was everything was going well. The teacher got everyone excited about it and kids were collecting it en masse. Kids would go around raiding for it, from the trash, from their school lunches, from their homes even. A teacher got a call from a concerned parent because her kid hijacked all the bottle caps from their kitchen. So that's stage 1 of the weirdness. It's what happened afterwards. Stage 2, kids started trading with these plastic bottle caps. We would trade pens, homework and even Pokemon cards for bottle caps. Worthless bottle caps. There wasn't even a prize for whoever could collect the most caps. It just became a currency out of nowhere. Let's talk about stage 3 of the madness, theft. There was no bank of bot caps at our school. There was the donation box and there were your cubbies. Those who didn't want to lug their stash back home every day left it in their cubbies and some kid decided to steal people's caps and from the donation box. The great theft of Class 3B. But it was probably for the best because overnight the madness subsided. The teacher ended the bottle cap donation. She was sick of the bugs that were gathering and licking up the dried up sugar juices from the caps anyway, but mostly horrified at how her little charity drive devolved into a socio-economical experiment. Just like that, the bottle cap market crashed. Noodle seasoning packets. I organized the black market. My school banned Pokemon cards, so I made a new game with paper cards. I was drawing pretty well, so I folded in paper in 9. It made pieces approximately the size of a Pokemon card, and created a whole new game out of this. Sold boosters for 10 cents. Spend all my afternoons drawing cards for the school. Teachers eventually heard of it and couldn't ban it because it was still officially me distributing drawings. And then I started to do replicas of Pokemon cards. Like people had to show me the proof after school that they own the card. I made a replica, and then the whole Pokemon card trading continued with paper replicas. Then after school people made the real exchanges based on what replicas they exchanged during school. I think I was 16 when this happened, but basically a bunch of guys bog on printing paper that looked like contracts with the top saying soul contract. They'd come up to some of the younger students and get them to sign the document to sell their soul for eternity and would pay then $2 to $3. Converting to USD, we had a good laugh when some of the students became worried they actually sold their soul. Drawings. It started out as a joke. Some kids make beautiful drawings and trade them for other drawings. At one point we decided to give them a value. If a drawing was really pretty, let's say 8/10, we would number it with 8 and you could trade it for 2 4s. There were kids that would not draw but were chosen to ride these drawings. At one point kids would trade snacks for beautiful drawings. This started in my class, and in a couple of days the whole school was doing this. My drawings were okay, but not great. And sadly I never got snacks to bring to school, so I had nothing to trade. So I decided to recruit other kids that were really good and would be their managers so they had more time to draw. I had siblings in other grades, so I would contact them so trade these in their class so there was more ground to collect snacks from. I also bargained with the kids that would ratings the drawings, promising them a share of the snacks. My clients would share their snacks with me as payment for my services. I still remember those stupid horse flower drawings. Horse girls went nuts over these and would give anything for them. In high school I was the only kid in my year that knew how to download music to your phone. I would make a list of songs people want and would transfer these off Bluetooth. I would charge 1 cookie for 1 song. I wouldn't say it was weird, but my friend in high school had like a prepper granddad waiting for Y2K. He literally had crates filled with cartons of off-brand cigarettes. So my friend would steal a few cartons, bring them to me, and I'd sell them out of my locker. I'd charge $3 a pack. He'd get $1 and I'd get the other 2 or 50 cents for loose cigarettes, and we just spilt that down the middle. I only kept like 6 packs in a pencil case, 5 whole and 1 open for the loose ones to sell, in my locker at a time. He'd have the rest in his locker at the other end of school and I'd just go refill as needed between classes or at lunch. One time a teacher called the cops because I was acting suspicious. They pulled me out of class and brought in a drug dog to search my locker. I just sold my last Lucy and pack like 10 minutes before that. The dog didn't find anything but the cops went through everything anyway. When he opened the pencil box, there were little shreds of tobacco inside. He asked what's this and I said well it's a pencil box, I'd guess it's probably pencil shavings, and he just shrugged and put it back. Went right back to selling cigarettes the next day. Oh. I'd also trade 1 Lucy for a meal ticket. That's how our launch system worked, and would also sell the meal tickets for $1 each and split that with my buddy too. In year 10 I was able to gain access a teacher's account on my school tablet which allowed me to get internet access. I then realized I could open a hotspot which allowed other students to have internet access on their tablets. We weren't allowed to have cell phones. I decided to charge $10 per week for each student that wanted to subscribe for internet access which I was distributing. I started receiving requests from students not in the radius of the hotspot, thus I figured out a way for users to SSH connect to my school tablet and use it to gain internet access. It was a mess and the network became too slow, but I was still getting paid regardless. Best of all, the IT guy knew what I was doing, but he wasn't able to stop it since the school only employed one guy to handle everything, thus he was too busy to do anything about it. One day my high school decided to stop selling soda because they were trying to pass some sort of audit. The very next day, my friend and I showed up with cases of cold soda in our backpacks, selling them for 50 cents a piece. We were sold out by lunchtime every day for like 2 weeks until they plugged the vending machines back in. Not really black market, but kinda. It was in the 90s and most people had a computer, but internet was still very slow when you had it. I was a teen and had managed to put my hand on a CD-ROM with 3 porn videos on it. The kind of CD-ROM that was offered with the magazine you could find on the highest shelf of the newspaper stand. I was starting to know all 3 videos by heart, so I decided to lend it to a friend and then I kinda forgot about it. A few days later I noticed during the class that another unrelated person was lending my video to yet another guy. My CD-ROM was having a life of its own, moving from hand to hand, providing happiness along its way. I was very proud. Pregnancy tests. Everyone in town was basically working at either the local supermarket or the local pharmacy. There was zero chance a girl could buy one there without word spreading like wildfire. I bought them, then sold them discreetly out of my locker at a 100% markup. Easily brought in $300 a month. Thanks for listening. Subscribe for more daily videos.